Hi, this is Dr. Thomas speaking, and in this video I want to address some of the challenging problems that you have had this semester. So I hope this helps. So I wanted to address some of your issues with some of the problems before the midterm exam. Just a reminder, midterm exam is coming up shortly and it's in week 8, so make sure that you resolve any problems that you're challenged by before midterm exam, because anything from chapters 3 or 4 can be on the midterm. Let's begin. First problem. So the first problem that I want to go over is 6x cubed plus 24x equals 0. I thought this was a good problem to go over. It's solving any equation, of course, and so let me write out all the steps to solving an equation. Make sure that you memorize these steps. Alright, so the steps are: set the equation to 0, factor, set each factor to 0, and then solve for the variable. So those are the steps. Whenever you see an equation in this class, those are the steps that you should follow no matter what. I see a lot of times that my students get off course and they don't follow these steps, and that's when they have issues with solving equations. But this is a good problem because it poses a unique situation, so let me go over that. Alright, so notice that everything is already on one side of the equation, set equals 0. So step 1 actually has been done for you. The next step is to factor. Now if we look at 6x cubed plus 24x, we can take out a 6x because that's our GCF. Both terms have 6x in common, so we need to take that out first. Then we will have x squared left over. I always check this. 6x times x squared is 6x cubed plus 4 equals 0. Now that we have factored, we can set the factors to 0. Notice here that this is not factorable because this is a sum of squares, so we cannot factor that. So that's why we have to go straight to setting the factors to 0. 6x equals 0, or x squared plus 4 equals 0. Alright, on the left side here, we can divide by 6. 6 cancels on the left side, so one solution is x equals 0. And of course that makes sense because if I plug 0 back into these x's, I will get 0, and we are solving for the x value that will make the left side equals the right side, so 0 makes sense. If you want to check, you could just plug it back into the x's. Now over here, this is a little interesting because we couldn't factor that, but what we could try to do to see if this will work, we could subtract 4 from both sides to see what happens. When we do that, we get x squared equals -4. Now here's something you need to look at. You're trying to figure out what x value that you can square to get -4. If you think about it, there is no real number that you can square and get -4, because anytime you multiply something times itself, it will always be a positive answer. So for this situation here, x squared equals -4, there's no x value that will make this statement true, or no real number that will make this statement true. Therefore, we can throw this answer out for math in this course. Of course, when you go on to Math 112, there are 2 complex solutions in this situation right here, but you're not going to learn that in this course. So the only solution to this equation is x equals 0. Alright, next we have the problem 3x cubed minus 11x squared plus 6x. We are tasked to factor this. Now the very first step of factoring is to take out the GCF, and there is one, because notice there's an X in all terms. So since there's an X in all terms, what we're going to take out an X. That leaves us with 3x squared minus 11x plus 6. And what you notice here is a trinomial. It is the other case. So we use the AC method. The AC method meaning we multiply, let me just say that this is like ax squared plus bx plus c. Notice that this trinomial is in this form, and our a here is the 3. You multiply it times the c, which is the 6, gives us 18. Then we find factors of 18 that will give us that middle term, negative 11. So we go 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and believe it or not, we already are there because negative 2 times negative 9 is positive 18. But when you add negative 2 plus a negative 9, you get negative 11. Therefore, I'm going to do this off to the side. I'm going to expand my trinomial into 4 terms. That is equivalent, of course, to our original trinomial. But I'm going to factor by grouping. So we take out an x here. When we take out the x, we're left with 3x, because x times 3x is 3x squared minus 2. And what we can do is take out a negative 3 here, and we will get 3x minus 2 as well. Therefore, we have 3x minus 2 times x minus 3. But of course, this is only for that trinomial. So we need that x as well, because our x was in the original, was our original GCF. We also have to include that with our factors. Alright, so x times 3x minus 2 times x minus 3. Again, you have to have all 3 factors, because that's the only way that you'll get 3x cubed minus 11x squared plus 6x. Alright, next we have 128x minus 8x to the 5th power. So, of course, the first thing you would do, you would take out the GCF. And if you look at this, the GCF is 8x. Take that out. 8x times 16 minus x to the 4th power. Then, if you notice here, this is a difference of squares, so you have to keep going. So you have 8x. Now we're going to expand this to 2 parentheses, because the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of x to the 4th is x squared. And the signs for difference of squares is always plus minus or minus plus. Now notice again, there's another difference of squares. Of course, here 4 plus x squared is sum of squares. You cannot factor that. We also have to keep that factor, but expand this factor to 2 factors. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is x. Signs should be plus minus. Alright, or minus plus. So here are the factors. The only one that you could possibly write these around. So, or, let me put or, if you wrote 8x times x squared plus 4 times x plus 2. And even if you wrote this around, it would have to be negative x plus 2. So you always have to keep the sign that's in front of that variable, right? This is a positive 2, so that's why I had to put plus 2. This is a negative x, so that has to be negative x. So either our answers would be correct.